Taiwan, the CCP, and the free world. Every day I go onto YouTube, I see another thing that says China is on the verge of invading Taiwan, and it never happens. You know, and I remember watching one newscast with Biden, and Biden was saying that if the CCP goes to war with Taiwan, right, America will get involved. America and everyone else. America and probably a large part of the rest of the free world. Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, I think it has to be. There's no avoiding it. The CCP is different than the Chinese, right? The Chinese people, be they Hong Kongese or Taiwanese or whomever, mainland Chinese, you know, they're all different than the CCP, right? I highly doubt, you know, that mainland Chinese want to eradicate Taiwan any more than Taiwan wants mainland China to take over Hong Kong. But China keeps threatening. Mainland China, not mainland China, you know, there's a difference between the Chinese and the CCP. And everyone confuses this, myself included, but I think it's a very important divide. You know, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, keeps encroaching upon Taiwan and threatening Taiwan, and there's always this imminent war. With Russia and the Ukraine, it's been proven that sanctions can work. Sanctions can work, right? You know, why have we been doing business with the CCP, you know, in terms of like cheap goods for so long? I have no idea. You know, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the U.S. was having missile threat of war with Russia, and Cuba was involved, and they put a trade embargo on Cuba, and Cuba was like economically crippled for so long. Who says something similar can't happen again? You know, why are we doing business, you know, with the CCP, which is this like daft, blind psychopath that has no idea what it's doing really, and just doing, right? You know, and doing a huge mess and disservice. You know, when they came into Tibet, right? They started killing people. They started pushing people out. They literally occupied Tibet. The monastics in Tibet, you know, they raped them with cattle prods, orally and backdoor, raped them with electrical cattle prods, right? In Hong Kong, you know, they attacked people. They hired gangsters to come in and attack people. How long did that struggle go on for? Right? And what did the Hong Kongese want? To be a territory. Not to be under complete authoritarian rule. They just wanted to be their own territory. They still wanted to maintain a level of what? Democracy. Where will the CCP stop? You know, these people with Chairman Mao, and granted, you know, part of this is like my people's fault, right? Because the English, you know, were out industrializing everything, and China was probably on the list, right? And Chairman Mao came along and went, no, we're going to do it. You can just piss off. right? And they did it by force. 3/4 the amount of the people who died in World War II died in mainland China. You know, people nowadays are so brainwashed in mainland China that sometimes they think that only 9 people died in Tiananmen Square. I've met Chinese who only think that 9 people died in Tiananmen Square, and they're all kind of like avatars of bad people. I think before arms, before taking up arms, you know, there's other options. You know, one is sanctions. You know, if the rest of the free world is placing sanctions on China, China largely, you know, business is at the forefront of the CCP, very much at the forefront of the CCP. Who wants war, right? Like, it's wrong to kill, and it's wrong to be killed. There's the ancient Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, I think it was in Kapilavastu, when there was a war going on, they ran. Shakyamuni, his monks, Jomonifo in Chinese, his monks and the citizens, they ran. Shakyamuni died in the process of running. But they ran. Running is an option. You know, taking on citizens. You know, the UN dispersing citizens out of Taiwan is an option. I mean, you look at Taiwan, Taiwan is this big and China is like this, right? And they're like about this far apart. And at the same rate, you know, I very much believe that Taiwan is its own independent country. But to think that China may not take action is, who knows? I don't think the CCP, I'm saying China, I keep saying China and I mean the CCP. I don't think the Chinese Communist Party is that stupid. I don't think they're that stupid. I don't think they want war. Not because they would lose, but because we would all lose. Because people would die. You know, it would be a bloody mess. And it wouldn't just be with the rest of the world with China, or just the free world with China, or just, you know, the allies with China or something. I keep saying China, I mean the CCP. But Japan also attacked America at one point when they were becoming a global superpower. And I think that was very much unexpected. And granted, Japan and China are not the same country. They're 2 different nations, 2 different agendas, 2 different peoples. Similar, but different. When does it stop? You know, is the issue. You know, whilst China is going around and buying up, you know, half of the rest of the world. Apparently they own half of Hockey Night in Canada, which is, you know, insane. What I just like, it would be the most idiotic thing to go to war in this situation. However, if Taiwan is not defended, where will the CCP stop? The CCP has no problem putting sanctions on Canada. CCP sanctions on us with, I think, wheat and soy. A lot of their soy comes from Canada. Right? To expect a daft, blind psychopath to like do something logical in this situation is also not really probable. So the question is, how do you avoid yet another war? Running is an option. Adopting citizens is an option, you know. Refugees. Sanctions is an option. There's a lot of options. But if Taiwan leaves China, then what Taiwan is what mainland China would have been were there no Chairman Mao and the People's Revolution. I never visited Taiwan. I always wanted to. I visited Hong Kong before it got handed over. I loved Hong Kong. I don't know, and in some ways I feel like it's just a machine that can't make itself stop, right? It's a machine that can't stop. In relation to the CCP, it's like a machine that can't stop beating its chest, because that's what it has done historically. But I really think, you know, with different nations that side with China, side with the CCP, right? Not only are you doing the Chinese in mainland China a disservice, alongside of the Taiwanese, where is it going to stop? What are you going to do when the CCP sets its sights on you? The CCP's GDP apparently just plummeted recently because they did all these ghost cities and all this architecture and had citizens were investing in it left, right, and center, and now nobody wants to pay back their continue on with their investments because there is nothing. A lot of these ghost cities are like crumbling. The GDP is crumbling. All the citizens have lost a lot of money, and putting investments in buildings, condos and whatnot that have never been built, but basically just funding the CCP. And apparently the GDP of China is dropping. So it's not like economic sanctions don't work. Economic sanctions work. Why would Taiwan, why would the CCP want to go to war over a country that's about this big in relation to China and risk war? That is beyond me. That is beyond me. Right? They're about this far apart. Right? So what tactical advantage would there be? It doesn't make any sense. But if something's not done, if other countries don't join in, that historical aspect to China and Chinese that exists in Taiwan will cease to exist. If they get spread out around the world, that culture will largely cease to exist. in the same rate, the CCP has proven with Hong Kong, and even more so with Tibet, right? They're willing to be utterly ruthless